Good morning, my dear viewers, to the Wisdom of Life channel. And I am sending the greeting words of peace and blessings from my desk in the Gambia in West Africa. And I wish you all the best in your life. Today, our topic in the Wisdom of Life is about a topic that is really close to my heart. And it is the topic of aligning yourself with a higher power. Aligning yourself with a higher power. Maybe in subsequent videos, I will go into what I mean by higher power, or what you commonly know as God, or Allah, or Jehovah in Christianity, or the ultimate force if you're into spirituality, or the spirit that is immanent in all of us, if you're still into any form of spirituality, whether it is Hindu spirituality, or whether it is a Buddhist spirituality whatsoever. The common factor in all religions is the fact that there is a spirit out there. There is a force, an infinite force, a force that is non-physical, but that pervades everything. It is a singular force that has always existed and that will always be existed. And through various processes, all of which we cannot go into, all of which we don't know, that we are still studying, we came out as a being from this force. We are a flint of this universal force. This much is true. To ignore it and to say that a human being is an independent entity in the universe is foolishness, is stupidity, and it will hurt you. It doesn't matter how many people want to go through life and say that, well, I am all what I see. That there is no higher power to life. That there is no God, essentially. That's what we call God. What I just described a priori, that is what is called God in religion. And you have to ask yourself, is it accidental that human beings, as historian Will Durant said it, that there has been no society in human history that has not been religious in one form of the other or the other? According to Will and Ariel Durant in their book on the history of civilization, is that all human societies that they have studied have been religious in one way or another. What have anthropologists found when they went into remote islands of Ozonia in the Amazon, in the depths of Africa? They have found that tribes, even though they're isolated from other tribes, are still religious, deeply religious, in a spiritual way. They always calling into a higher power, and many a time these isolated communities have spiritual powers, and they do things with such wisdom that boggles the minds of peoples that are coming from cities. There is a God. There is a force that controls the universe, or else it would have been chaos, complete chaos. God exists. Allah is true. Jehovah is true. Don't do yourself a great injustice of trying to betray your mind. There is nothing that comes so powerfully on the human mind than the fact that that is something that gives flowers their color, that makes trees to grow, that makes babies to come out of their mother's wombs, and they begin to learn, and over time they are us with their beauty and their learning capacity and all those things. Scientists are still studying the minute living organisms of bacteria, and they have found out that each of these living organisms is a complex wall of its own, with a precision of organization that allows it to adapt to its environment, that allows it to feed from its environment, that allows it to reproduce in its environment. Now, all this cannot be by chance. It just tells you that there is an intelligence behind life. That is not you, that's not me. I cannot claim that I created this DNA in living things. I cannot, because I know I did not do it. But what I cannot do also is to brush it aside and say that it doesn't make sense. It makes sense because I can speak, I can understand. Others can speak, others can understand, others live life, and they love life and they want to preserve their life. If we study life across all domains, all living things want to hang on to their lives. If you threaten any living organism, whether they're human or non-human, they will attack you because they have this embedded desire to live longer. to enlarge their life, to be in their environment and be happy wherever they are. Yeah? So it is a self-evident truth, which you don't need a lot of time or a lot of evidences to convince anybody who has his mind intact that life has a control behind it. And if you take time to study religious teachings, there is nobody who is saying that there is a man in the sky who controls all the things. There is a teaching in all religions that says that God is a force or a spirit, something invisible, but something that it controls everything. And that cannot be denied. Most of the powerful forces in life cannot be seen. You would be very gullible as a human being to say that you will only believe in what you see. Out of the electromagnetic spectrum that is available, which probably is infinite, the visible range is only 7. The visible range is only 7. So how can you say that because you don't see it, then you're not going to believe it? Or if you cannot touch it, you're not going to believe it? It's naive. It just shows that you lack enough information. It's a very weak position and it's an illogical position. How many things can you even touch? Others will kill you if you touch them. You will not live to explain. Like 500,000 voltage of electricity you cannot touch. Probably cannot see, cannot even feel it. It's beyond you. What about something that is 5,000 times lower than that? Can you even perceive it? It's beyond your range of perception. Infrared, you cannot see it. Ultraviolet, you cannot see it. Yet still they all have high impact in your life. But your mind can see all those things. And that is why you need to balance your mind and be an objective thinker. And think through life. That life indeed has a meaning. Life has a purpose and life has a designer. Things that are being designed, they are beautiful proportioned. And designed for a function usually have a designer. This universe with billions of stars, without a designer, without a central force keeping it in place, will be complete chaos. Our solar system alone has billions of stars. And there are many others solar systems. In fact, it is a solar system. Andromeda is way bigger than us. Go to NASA website and start researching a little bit about universes that are out there. So many stars. Why is it that our planet has been in this vast galaxy without even a meteorite hitting it, destroying it, and we're still here? It is revolving around the sun is revolving within the solar system. All those things are going on fine. If you look at life, you will find out that there is an overwhelming force that keeps society organized. There is an overwhelming force that keeps individual lives going on. Things are being recycled on the surface of the earth, the water cycle, and the many, many other cycles. If you study life, you will see these cycles that is being designed to keep itself moving. And if you study it more, you will find that it goes to a grand purpose. In Islam, for example, they come with the explanation that life is like a test. This life is a prelude to a greater life. And that makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense because it is what gives this life truth and meaning. That our life here is a sort of preparation for a higher life. This is the same thing in Christianity as well as in Buddhism. That the spirit that we have, the mind that we have, can grow. And that it is infinite in nature. The human spirit is infinite because it comes from the infinite. Therefore, it is infinite. But our temporary sphere of existence, and we know this is temporary because you and I know that we are not going to be here forever. What gives this temporary life meaning is when it is connected to a lasting life, wherein our human desires, for example, our desire for life that goes on without ending can be fulfilled. Our desire for happiness that goes without ending can be fulfilled. Our desire for the best kinds of foods can be fulfilled. This is where the concept of paradise comes in. And that those who do not follow this principle, those who do not go through this growth, are going to be stationed somewhere wherein they're going to grow more, like purgatory or hell. It's a stopping point wherein you have to grow from. Some are going to be there for a long time. And if you look at universal times, even a second in a place like that can be rightly described as forever. That's why it is not, don't be surprised when some people are going to go into hellfire forever. It means if you do not grow in this life, you're going to find yourself in a plane, a higher plane, where you'll be forced to grow. before that time comes, we are given the mind and the body and the wisdom to grow in life, so that our growth is not going to be in a very lower plane at that higher level of existence. Because if we are suddenly transformed into a higher plane of existence, what the Quran, for example, calls the hereafter, we will probably find out that what we have accumulated in terms of knowledge and understanding and in terms of spiritual development is minuscule compared to what we could have learned. And our position in that place will be very low. It's like lower heaven or hell. So you don't want to go through hell. Even in this life, you can go through hell. If you don't learn and understand life, every little thing will be a form of punishment for you. And you find out that every avenue you take will be blocked because you do not understand life. So everything becomes a punishment for you. And that hell that you're talking about will start here. But in this video, I'm talking about the higher power which is there. It is self-evident truth that human beings did not create themselves, that they can only be secondary creators. Whatever we create, we take the resources from what has been created. We created aeroplanes, the inspiration comes from birds. We created cars, the inspiration comes from horses and all the four-legged animals that has been here before us. That's why we call it horsepower. We measure it in terms of horsepower. Could say camel power or donkey power, whatsoever. But we're not primary creators. And many times the wisdom that we arrogate to ourselves, we've learned from what we call nature. What we should have rightly called God or the universal force. But it's just language. Language is limited. But we do understand that we are not the authors of creation. I know I did not create the sun. I cannot pull down the sun from where it is. Although many individuals appear in history whom we call prophets, who have demonstrated that they are big representatives of this force. And people challenge them, okay, do this. Since you said you are a prophet or a messenger of the universal God, let him split the moon, for example, the Prophet Muhammad. And it is recorded in Islamic sources, and all Muslims agree that he pointed to the moon and that it was split into two. And interestingly, some of the earlier studies of the moon, they find fissure on the moon, which talks about the moon being split. An indication of that. Muslims, we believe that. Jesus, Christians believe he raised dead people. Why? Because he said the one who created life is the one who sent him. And many, many other miracles that prophets have done and been recorded. And even individuals who are not even prophets. Even today, people are doing it. But it cannot go, nobody has done that by claiming that it came from him. But that has access to the source. So I'm pleading with you, because it has become fashionable in certain parts of the world to say, oh, I'm an atheist, or God, does not exist, or do you guys believe in a man in the sky? No. If you are going to be happy, don't go through those surface arguments or those random sayings that you hear from people. No, you have to do the research on yourself and look at the common principles, the core principles. Start with the core of monotheism, of God. How does it all start? What are they even talking about? Before you can brush things aside. And by all means, don't lose your common sense through some philosopher's intervention. I don't need Nietzsche or Darwin or anybody to tell me that. I, looking at the sun, cannot think in my own mind that the sun did not create itself, that it is not there for a purpose, that all these things existed just randomly, just like that. No, don't wait for anybody to make those decisions for you. You have your mind. Study the Quran, study the wisdom literature of the world, and you will become wiser. You will understand that there is a force out there, there is God out there. Some call it infinite intelligence that can hear you more than you can hear yourself. You are a flint of it. You come from it. He created you, give you proportion and everything, so that through you, he will do certain things. This is as deep and as powerful as it can get. If you align yourself with it, your life will become richer. It's the burden of this video. You have to believe in God. And then you have to align yourself with God. That's what means the worship of God. If you don't believe in it, if you're from a tradition of atheistic tradition or whatsoever, try and study the wisdom literature of the world. Speak to men of wisdom, whether they're Muslim or Buddhist or whoever you are. But by all means, acquire this knowledge, acquire the right knowledge of it. Acquire the right knowledge of it. If you want me to explain to you my concept of God, please inbox me, and then we can start speaking through some video conferencing. It is detailed, but believe me, there's a logic behind it, a simple logic, a profound logic, at the same time, that God exists and that God has an influence in our lives. And the men who have been successful in history and even today are the people who align themselves with God, who always find time to connect to God. Because when you ask Him things, when in your heart, in your mind, God is always with you. And that you cannot be successful in life, you cannot be happy in life, lastingly, without you connecting with God, without you seeking guidance from Him in everything that you do, because He is infinitely intelligent, and He brought you here so that you can be successful, so that you can be happy, so that you can understand that He is there, that He is your partner in this journey. So naturally, if you understand this, if you acknowledge His presence, because it's a mentality. Life, a whole of life, especially human life, is about mentality. Mentality is real. It's more real than anything. And it is where our reality begins. And the theoretical physicists will tell you is where our reality ends. Our mentality, our mind, is what shapes our reality. So if we invite God in our mind, He will come into our life. And without mincing words with you, without trying to cajole you, without trying to be politically correct, without trying to be everything to everybody. This is the core truth I'm telling you, especially youths from the western part of the world who may not be fortunate enough to be exposed to some of these things, because there is spiritual confusion. Let us be honest with one another. The materialism that is coming from there, the humanism that is coming from there, it is misleading a whole lot of people by thinking that whatever human being thinks or whatever, human beings are the center of the universe. We're not. We're not the center of the universe. The universe exists and we are a small part of it. That we are obligated as human beings to align ourselves with this higher power in order to be happy, in order to have lasting civilization. Civilizations that have come in this world that have also accumulated material wealth. The Roman civilization at its height, you would have no idea that today there will be history. The ancient Egyptians were so advanced in their material civilization, they never thought it could end, but today they are history. Their relics are there and still people are studying. Some don't even know how human beings could have created it. Some are even saying they are alien. But that is a testimony of how advanced they were, how rich they were. But at some point they lost the wisdom of life. And they think that they are the center of the universe. Now they are history. And the Western world is on the same trajectory. Without mincing words, it's on the same trajectory. They're trying to deny that a higher power exists, that they came from, that to study these principles is archaic, that a human being is there only for pleasure, whatever threatens that pleasure, that probably has no basis or relevance in his or her life. That human beings can change his nature and take up a different nature, that it all doesn't matter. That whatever, because nothing brought us in here, then we had to decide how to be. No. All the wisdom teachings around the world, especially coming from the Muslim perspective, that God created us and He created us for a purpose. And one of the major purposes of that is to know Him, because it's a challenge to know Him and align our life with Him. And this alignment, because it is universal, will open the gates of life for us, whether it is in this temporary sphere, as far as we are in this temporary sphere of the earth, and even if we ascend to order life, which is bigger than this, which is much more sophisticated than this. Because if life is infinite, if God is an infinite force, it goes on to say that if we come from that force, we will also not die. We will move from this earthly plane to a different one. Death is a temporary sort of like conception. If you look at the whole picture, it's a temporary cessation of life, or life moving from one form to another. A great example is given in the caterpillar's metamorphosis, changes from one thing to another. So that is a stopping point. This is also a common thread across all wisdom literature of the world, whether they are religious or non-religious. That if you think through life, you will find out that is a temporary reality. So I'm pleading with you. You have to connect to God. If you're a Christian, you have to not forget about God. Don't be a hypocrite. Try to bring God into your life. If you are a Muslim, it is so beautifully built in this religion of peace. Pray 5 times a day. Take ablution. Refresh yourself. Yeah. Don't engage in any negative activities that are going to, destroy your connection with God. That's what sin is all about. Things that are going to confuse your mind, things that are going to affect your psyche, so much so that this connection will be lost, because this connection is your power. Yeah. So connect with God. Do your worship. But beyond all these things, you as an individual must cultivate a deep sense of connection. But they're going to come through yoga, but you have to find a way of balancing yourself, of taking out the energies of work, stresses, and financial worries, and all those kind of things. Clean yourself and then connect to God. You must have your own personal practice that is strong. And anything that you are involved in, God sees and hears you. The force surrounds you, within you, and it is without you. Therefore, ask God for guidance. Muhammad did it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jesus did it, peace be upon him. Moses did it. Gregor Mendel did it. Isaac Newton did it. Albert Einstein. All this, they are believers in God, and they connected to God, and they seek wisdom. And today we're enjoying that wisdom. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the architects of America, the Unitarian Church, they were believers in God. They went after the wisdom of life. So I'm pleading with you, because for me, it has brought in so much happiness, so much courage in life to transcend some of the most biggest difficulties. That if you know my life story, it has allowed me to transcend. And even today, it is giving me hope. It is giving me youth and a shiny face to go through life. It is giving me a bigger smile. And it is giving me the confidence for me to share the wisdom of my life, the wisdom that I'm observing in life, so that I can be successful. So wherever this video finds you, if you're a believer in God, it's easier. Connect to Him. Don't be a hypocrite. Connect to God. Worship Him sincerely. Ask Him questions. Answers will come. And wait for the answers. They would come, either in the form of a thought, a sudden thought, or an inspiration, directly, or a dream, or somebody bringing information to you somehow, because God acts through His creation. Yeah. So it is not a purely religious session, but I can be really honest with you. After all of my research in life, and I'm really trying to summarize here and put it as simply as I can, that there is a universal force, an infinite intelligence that controls our life. That in Islam is called Allah. That in Christianity is called Jehovah, and all religions have it. That it is one force that brings about life. It is not three. It is not two. It is one force. This is the truest conception of religion that you can distill from any religious teaching. I challenge you, go to any library, go into the core teachings of all religions. You will find out that they all teach of a universal force that brings life and that sustains life, and that human beings have the power and the ability to connect to this higher force through their mind, through meditation, through worship. And they can ask questions of Him, and He can communicate to them through dreams, through thoughts, through coincidental meetings, in two different ways. And this is the highest form of power. We cannot get this journey. I cannot start this journey with you without sharing this knowledge. This is the starting point. This is the core point that makes a human being transcend any kind of limitation. Any kind of limitation. This is what makes a human being into a godlike creature, that he can work miracles, that he can come up with inventions and all these things when he aligns himself with this universal force. His mind opens, his spirit is open, his body becomes stronger. This is the all-time teaching of all wisdom literature. So I thank you all very much for listening, and I hope that you will subscribe to this channel, and I hope that you will comment. Let's keep the comments positive, but all kinds of comments are welcome. And subscribe, please don't forget to subscribe, and please comment, and please take time to watch all the videos. And if you want me to have a special session with you, please add me, make a request, and then we can have a personal conversation about any topic that you like. We can just share our wisdom. We're all human beings. We all want happiness. We are all in pursuit of similar dreams in life. So I'm here for you. Before I get too busy when I cannot respond, the call is open wherever you are in the world. If you want motivation, if you're going through any difficulties, you want me to speak to you, make you happier, and we talk about deeper things of life. If you care about the wisdom of life and you want to discuss, please get to me somehow. Thank you all very much for listening, and I hope that God bless your life, and I wish you a happy and a very successful life. Thank you very much.